using the pip, right? And we did install psychopg2, and we started executing few queries and understood like, how to create a connection and all, right? So today we'll continue with the same thing. Just mostly I'll be repeating few things which we discussed yesterday. All right. What is the package that we have used in order to talk to PostgreSQL DB? What is the package or library
Python
that we have
flags,
used? Which one?
psychobject,
Binary. So this is the library, right? And how did we install? We said pip install psychobj2 binary. So it did install the library. Okay. And after that, how did we import? Import psychobj2, right? And after that, how do we take the connection? Like psychobj2 has a function called connect, which connects to the database, and it returns a connection object. It returns a connection object using which we can execute our queries. Connection is equal to dot. What is the function name? Connect, right? And connect takes several parameters such as DB name, password, username, host, and port, right? If you don't specify the host and port, it will take um, localhost and 5432 as the default ports, right? So that is what we have done here, right? What all the parameters we need? DB name, user, password, host, and port. These are the important things that are needed for us to get the connection object, Once we get the connection object, so we wanted to execute certain queries. Right. So either selecting from the DB or getting the D from the DB, writing to a DB, updating, deleting, inserting, or just getting. So whatever it is, you need a connection object. Yes, we got the connection object. And after getting the connection object, you need one more thing. What is that? Right. So you will pass all the parameters that we have seen. And once you get the connection object, you need to get the cursor object that is there in the connection object. Right. So this will give you the cursor using which you can execute. Execute certain things. OK, now let us look at all the functions. One, yes, connect is the one which helps us to connect to the database, and it returns a connection object. Using the connection object, you take a cursor object, and this returns a cursor object. And using the cursor object, you can execute. Right? So then within this, you goes your SQL query. Within this goes your SQL query. Right? And after that, if at all, if it is update or insert or delete, for these operations, you have to you also say connection dot commit. Right, you should have to commit them to the database. So you have to explicitly use connection dot commit. And after once your job is done, you can say you have to close the connection. So connection dot close is the function, right? You can close the connection. Right, one is connect, Next is cursor. Once you get the cursor, you can execute the query using the cursor object, right? And then if it is update, insert or delete, you have to use the commit function. And once you are done with the work, you have to close the connection. Okay. Now after this, if it is a update, if it is a select, right? Maybe select star from whatever you want to select, which returns a rows, right? So if in order to take the rows, there are three functions: fetch one, fetch all, fetch many. Many you can specify the size. You can specify how many you want. Okay, right? So there are these three functions if you are using a select. Fetch one only takes any first record. From the query, it takes only the first record. Fetch all gets all records. Fetch many, you can specify the size and it gets that size. Right. So these are all the functions that we need to be aware of. These are all the functions that we need to be aware of. Are we clear with these functions?
Clear, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. We will see one by one all the operation such as creation, deletion, and all of that using the code. Okay. Now, right. So we have already seen few things. Now with the code itself, we'll try to create a table. With the code itself, we will execute, we'll try to create the table. Okay. Import object2 connection is equal to, I'm just going to take this connection strings back here. Right, these are going to be same. Right, so this is the DB name. I'm not changing the DB name. A dot connect, and you have to pass all the variables, which is DB name is equal to DB, sorry, user is equal to user, password is equal to DB password. You can leave the other two. It will take that as a default, which is localhost and the 5432 as a port. And let me just see if we are getting the connection object using this. I'm just going to run and execute this. Right, we are getting the connection object, right, connected to the DB name Python class. Right, if you see here, it says closed 0, which means it's not closed. All right, so now every time we open a connection, two things has to be taken care. Connection dot close. Every time you open a connection, you close the connection. Right, let's print one after the close. Right, initially the closed was 0, which means it was not closed. And after we issued the close statement, now the closed state says 1, which is true, which means it is closed. Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, sir.
Just give me a second. Okay, so what I
Okay.
was saying was there are not many functions. What we have is a connect, right? So connect, you can basically take certain parameters to establish a connection with the DB, right? And you have to use a connect function and pass the respective parameters and you get the DB object, right? Which is nothing but the connection object. Once you get the connection object, the next thing that you need is a cursor object. You can use the connection object and call a cursor function, which gets a cursor object. Once you get the cursor object, right, you can execute any query, might be DDL, DQL, DML, DDL, whatever, right? So you can execute all of these queries. And once after executing, right, if it is any update, insert or delete, you have to ensure that you commit them, and commit is available in the connection object. You have to say con dot commit, connection object dot commit. And if it is a select query, you have again three functions: fetch one, fetch all, or fetch many. So you can use this any of the function based on your query, and you get the data, you get the records. And once everything is done, all the DB operations are completed, you have to ensure that you close the connection as well. Right? Are we clear? I mean, not many, right? Very simple, like hardly one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight functions that you have to remember. Not many, right? Are we good?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Right. So here we have the connection object, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the cursor object, right? And once I have the cursor object, I can execute. Can execute, and we have already defined the execute function here. I'm going to write a multi-line comment here, multi-line string. So hence I'm using triple quotes. Right here, I'm going to write the table definition. Or salary can be a floating value, right? So I'll take a real. Real means you can take the insert decimals also into it. Right. So name also I want it to be not null. Salary also. You know what is not null, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yep. And if I want the name to be unique, I can also add unique statement. Right. So this is my table creation query. Okay. And after executing, what is the thing that we have to do after creation? We have to ensure that we commit the changes. Right? So this is simple. If I execute this, it has to create the table for us. So how do we connect to the DB from the shell, from terminal? PSQL hyphen U Postgres, right? Hyphen P, right? Or else let it ask for the password. Hyphen D. Right? Now I am able to log into this Python console. How do I check how many databases are there? Sorry, how many tables are there? Right? We already have one table called students, right? And now with this execution, it has to go create one more table called employee, right? Let us try to run this. It is finished execution. Let me go back and check. Did it create another table called employee?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right? And if I describe that employee table, you can see that we have inserted 4 columns in it, right? ID, name, salary, email. ID is an integer and it is a serial. It has the auto sequence increase, right? Name is a varchar and it is a not null. Salary is a real and not null. Email is again character varying, which is varchar, and it is nullable. It is nullable. Okay. Now we are able to create table. We are able to create table. Now, once we have created the table, now let us try to insert employee records into. You want to rename, refactor, rename. I have added some additional codes. Remove it. Right. Now, now if you notice here, right, now again, if I have to take the connection, right, I need to have all of this, right? Now instead, can I just put all of this into one utility file and call a function to get the DB connection object?
Yes, sir.
Because in every module I'm repeating it instead of repeating, right? Right, in this I'm going to put this. Right, so these are my values. I'm going to create a singleton class. How do we create a singleton class? How do we create a singleton class? We have seen this. We have seen this. How do we do that in Python? Right, we
Sir.
have seen this, man. We should not. Okay, fine. Super. What did I do? One moment. So this is the instance, and instance always has a connection. One moment. itself. This will return a single same instance always, and these and all can be a parameters within the class itself, not parameters, the class variables. This can be. Right, hence it is going to return the same object always. If there is no connection, I'm just making it as a let get DB connection. If not self dot connection, we are going to create a new connection. Right, whatever it is. Okay, so this now we have written a simple class here. Yeah. Yes, I have to say CLS. Right, we have written a simple singleton class which is going to create only one object, and we are going to access this get connection from that. Okay. Actually, we don't even need a singleton. We'll make it as a let it just be. So this anyways has a simple class method, so you don't even need to create an object. Right, all you have to do is, since it is the class method, get DB connection, you just call, and this is a variable that we'll be using every other place by importing. Okay, now create employee records, sorry, create table. Connection object, how do I get? Connection is equal to from DB connection import con, that is a variable, right? And that's it. There you go. You have the connection object done. Right, and create table done. Right, create employee records. Right, so I have this here. Now I'll just directly get the cursor object. Now while we'll just try to insert as many records as we want. So we'll take the user input, command not equal to we'll keep try to insert the records. Okay. What all we need? Employee name is equal to name, right? Then what are the other variables that we have? Salary
Salary.
and email.
Email ID, sir.
Salary, I am expecting it to be real, so I'm going to take it as first input of salary. If salary dot is digit only, then I'm going to convert it to else invalid salary and continue. Again, we'll ask from the beginning. Else, again, the last is email, which is not mandatory. Once I got all of this information, we want to insert that record. We want to insert that record. Employee name also is mandatory, right? If not, employee name, print name is mandatory. And we'll just say continue. Whenever it doesn't match our criteria, we are going to skip this current iteration and go to the next iteration. Okay. And we will take the command first. Command. Either you can say enter or maybe insert or exit. So based on whatever is the value, right, we'll proceed further. If command dot lower is equal to insert. If it is insert only, then we'll ask for all these details and we will try to insert this record. Okay. If not, we will not do that. If it's not equal to means I am going to reassign exit. That way it can stop. I'm going to write one function to insert record, and this is going to take certain parameters. Employee name, salary, email, default is empty string. Okay, so whenever people call this function, right, they have to pass these parameters. Employee is optional here. Employee is optional. Yeah, any doubt so far?
No, sir.
Now what I'm going to
No,
do,
sir.
I'm going to take this cursor object within this function. Right, and whenever a command is exit, we'll just say connection dot close. Okay, now cursor execute, insert into employee, right, where name, salary, email, values are going to be the same things. Going to use the F string here. Yeah, that's it. Right. So once that is done, the dot close. The dot close. And every time again, whenever it calls a insert record, we pause that. Let's create this function first, and then we'll use this. Insert record, employee name, salary, email, whatever it is. Okay, can we execute this? Okay, enter command,
Sir.
insert employee name, Raj, salary 25,000, let us say, email. Done. So now again, so after this, it should have inserted record. After this, it should have inserted record. Let us validate if it has inserted or not. Select star from employee. Right, if you see it is not inserted. If you see it has not inserted, there is no data, 0 rows. Okay, so what is the problem? From the DB connection, what are we returning? Get DB connection. So it is basically returning the connection object. Okay, perfect. Now after that, in the DB connection dot, okay, insert employee records. We still have this. Okay, it is calling insert record function by where we are passing the respective details, and here we are using the. Okay, tell me what we are trying to insert. What is the problem that we have done here? Every time insert, update, all of these records need what? Need what?
Sir.
What was that?
Commit, sir.
Right. So we have to do the commit. Right. Without that, it is not going to insert. Okay. So let me stop this again and rerun it again. Enter command. Let's say insert name Raj, salary 1,000. Right. And by this, it should have inserted. Now let us see. Let us validate if it has inserted. Let us run the same command. Okay, did we get the record inserted?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now let us go back to our Python run console. Right. Insert employee name. Right. It should have inserted. Again, I'm going to say insert, enter name. Right. Now again, let us go and validate how many records did we get. Right. So for a couple of them, we did not insert the email, and except email, the remaining things have come. Right. Right. This is how you can insert records. This is how you can insert records. You can insert as many records as you want using this. Okay. Why did it exited? Because either insert or exit is the command. If it is equal to insert, it was working. Now, if it is not equal to insert, the command here I gave was Rubina. So, and hence right? It is not matching with insert and it goes to the else condition and we are closing the connection and command is exit. So and hence your loop stops and hence your while loop stops. It is not going to ask for any more details, right? Right. So if you see here, now we are able to insert that many records, right? So many records. And if you notice here, if I try to insert same name again, it has to throw some certain error because name is a unique. Name is unique. If you see in the create table, name is what? Unique. And if I try to insert a record with the same name, it has to throw an error, right?
Yes, sir.
Right? What does it say? This is a
Already
Duplicate
exists.
value.
right, duplicate key value violates unique constraints employee name, right? Meaning Rubina is already present. Now it is throwing an error because I have to handle this error, right? Now because of this error, I was not able to close the connection also. I was not able to close the connection and I did not handle my code also stopped. I have to handle the errors. I have to handle the errors. Right? Psychology also comes with. I think this is an integrity error. Errors. Let me see what errors does it have. Let me just go look at what are the errors that are supported in the library. Okay, one moment. Okay, this is not the library. This is not the class that we want to execute this. This is here. Integrity error. Okay, integrity error meaning it is violating the duplicate and hence it is a integrity. So what we are going to do here in the insert record function, right? So I'm going to add try except integrity error. If at all, if it is an integrity error, then what we are going to say print name name, right? So and we will close the cursor and in the finally, so whether finally we know, right, whether there's an error or no error, it ensures that it always runs and any of such errors, any of that mandatory things that we have to do, we have to put always them into finally block. We have to put always them always into finally. Okay, now let us try if we are able to handle this record. Stop this. Right now, what does it say? Name Rubina already exists. Try with a different name. So it is not stopping now. Why? Because we are able to handle that integrity error. We are able to handle the integrity error. Are we clear?
Clear, sir.
Yes, sir.